Welcome to some One Piece action. If you're new to the channel, please give us a subscribe. And if you're a returning viewer and have not subscribed yet, please give us a subscribe. It definitely helps the channel grow. Alright, so we are trying to scale up Bonnie. Looking at some of those Eggman events, we see that there's usually one in the top 16. So she's relatively consistent hitting top 16. Of course, the most you see is Shanks and Dolphy, and then next is Blackbeard. Usually those three. I would say I do find it interesting, but it's like I kind of expected it. Blackbeard, no, not Blackbeard. Oh my God, Dolphy. Dolphy's still relevant and it's not what people thought. Of course, Jinbei just puts it on acceleration mode, but at the end of the day, as long as there's plenty of targets, the deck is relatively consistent and consistently pushes the board. Jinbei just is a steroid. So you just pull the steroid out and it becomes a bit of a more fair game. But it makes me wonder. It's like, if Jinbei was doing this much for this deck, and yet other decks were winning, like, shouldn't it have been more of a paradigm shift the moment Dolphy got calmed down? But there wasn't. So I find that part interesting. So we took Bonnie, and it's like, okay, what do I feel? What do I feel is the most important things to Bonnie? I was hoping that this tech would be good. Scalpel, right? Like you can play Scalpel, restand the Dawn, and then use Bonnie's effect and stuff like that. So it doesn't work simultaneous. Like you can't let Scalpel resolve and then use Bonnie's effect. It doesn't work that way. So essentially, you're not really helping yourself if you play Scalpel, restand the Dawn, let them attack again, and then use Bonnie's effect. It's not helping. So it's like, okay, scrap that. It's like, okay, so what's the core ideas? What do we want here? We always want an active Dawn, so that's why you see Smoker, right? We always want an active Dawn. And we started thinking to ourselves, it's like, wait a minute. Looking at Shanks and how Shanks plays, it was like, okay, there is something interesting here. It seems like when a leader can be defensive, it allows them to high drop multiple times. Because going up in the Shanks matchup, it's like, this guy keeps dropping like big bodies again and again and again and again. It's like, it's ridiculous, right? So, ooh, this is gonna cause a problem. 9k swing. Yeah, banish is annoying. So it was like, oh, okay, well, what is the leader ability technically doing? The leader ability is playing defense. It's like, huh, interesting. The more defensive a deck can be, the better chance they can just drop multiple high drops. Okay, pretty good thing to think about here. That's very interesting. They put Luffy on top, but it doesn't stop our Smoker from just being aggressive. Look at this luscious Dawn advantage. You don't want to make sure you could play, what's his name? Okay, looks like we're doing that. Attach. Yeah, let's see if we can burn the Luffy. Most likely. What a wonderful play there. So anyway, we got 2 more attacks. Do we go for it? Okay, patience is a virtue. What was I saying? So yeah, essentially leaders good defensively. So it's like, if you're a 6k leader, if you have some sort of shenanigans, such as Shanks lowering the power, Bonnie with like, wait a minute, Bonnie's defensive, so let's rearrange our heavier end, our top end. I always call like the late game the top end. If you feel like I'm misusing the terms, feel free to like, hey man, you know, it's not really the top end, but yeah. Anyway. So it's like, yeah, let's play more Dolphys and let's 10 drop Dolphys and 9 drop Shanks and let's see if we can get heavier. We also added, if the situation calls for it, we also added that 7 drop Doflamingo. So that way we can have more power in the deck and another tool for defense. So, you know, Doflamingo just has that luxury of being able to rest a 6-drop if the opponent attacks. You know what? I wonder if we have 2 Dawn, can both their effects trigger simultaneous? Like if you meet the requirement? Interesting. Oh, I really thought we was going to play the 7-drop. I mean, essentially, we could have tried to play it and then restood Dawn. And then started swinging. But yeah, so those are the 2 ideas. Make sure you can have an active Dawn, right? So that's why we have Smoker, just another tool to make sure we can keep an active Dawn available, and have a heavier top end, have more big bodies, so we can just load up the board and just make it difficult for the opponent. Opponent's pretty much going to be close to lethal next turn. With 2, they only have access to 2 attacks unless they get another rush. We have too much life. They have to go for the board technically. Going for life just pretty much gives us the free win. Okay, trying to stall it out a bit. Jesus. Oh look, 9-drop Shanks. They got 3 life. We got 3 attacks on the dot. So that's not the worst case scenario. That's the wonderful thing. 9-drop Shanks is 11 and can just KO anything rested. So that it's a 4 of in this deck, hands down. It is a 4 of. And if we adjust low key, we're thinking about, I think we play 4 and 2 or 4 and 3. But I was just like, should we play 4 and 4? Now, here's the risky thing, is that you can't ever stop the potential of drawing bad. Like, you could try to make a deck as consistent, unless it's like, you know, a broken meta. That's why I think that's why searching is so limited in this game, to prevent situations like that. But like if you look at Yu-Gi-Oh or any game that had extremely good searching, just pulling okay, good, understandable, just pulling cards straight from the deck, adding it to your hand, so you can just guarantee some shenanigans. I think that's what keeps this game more of a top deck game. But ultimately, you can't stop bad draws, is what I'm trying to say. You can't stop bad draws. You might look at this hand and say, this is a bad draw. So because you can't stop bad draws, it's just the way the cookie crumbles. It's like, man, if we play 8 high drops, right, or more, wouldn't we just brick? What are the chances of our first hand literally just being all copies of our high drops? You know, does that just devalue? Oh, wow, that's actually good. Does that just devalue the deck? You know, like, so the world of why we swing that high, that was interesting. Oh, low key, I probably would have just played 2 blockers. I mean, 5k to, okay, maybe it's the fact that we just wanted to make sure. Oh, dag. Maybe it's the fact that we just wanted to make sure they wasn't going to save that character. Well, we're at 3 life. I would just take the life. Okay, we're choosing a block. That's not a bad thing either. That's me being greedy. But like I'm saying, I would have took the life. Oh, we are not close enough to 9. Okay, so we got to stall a little bit. Yeah, you're gonna have to leave a Dawn active. Okay, cool. Active Dawn. Then turn. Was that saying something? That's my problem. I gotta learn to finish a thought. Oh yeah, okay. So blocking, keeping life up, makes it safer for us to get to our Dawn state. Da da da. Oh, they just added life. Well, that does kind of suck. Even though now we have more life, but it's like now we don't have the thing that activates the Dawn. Yeah, might as well. See nothing wrong with that. They have so many cards in their hand. I think they can afford to counter out. Wow. So any adjustments that I think off the top of my head at the moment, I don't have any. I mean, if 7 drop Doflamingo doesn't perform well, then it'll be like, okay, maybe we take him out and readjust. But outside of that, everything seems to be flowing very well. Carrot does her thing. Shanks definitely does his thing. If we could play 5 copies of 9-drop Shanks, we would. Real great source of board control. It kind of sucks not having any character to restand our Dawn, but it is what it is. Just things that you have to face, obstacles that you have to deal with when the situation arises. They have so many cards in hand, I could definitely see them choosing to protect it. 2K, 1K. No, oh. 2 2Ks. That's a good sign for us. Either they have bricks or they really want to play that 1K. But yeah, see, there it goes. I guess they really wanted to play that Sanji. Nine. We have a lot in our hand. And we chose to take. Interesting. That's interesting. Because it's not like we don't have. We have enough. So that's interesting that we chose to take. Now you're going to let it go or you're going to save it? They got 2 active Dawn. They got Mad Hand. I could definitely see them saving it again. Are we going for Luffy? Okay. Smart. Poke at the Sanji. Make it like easy for them to counter out. I feel like that's risky. So do they now have a 1K? Is that what it is? Or either that or they really trying to clean up their hand. But they managed to keep their whole board protected. Congrats. This is scary. No, we got blockers, so it's not that scary. What am I talking about? Now, if they play something to get rid of our blockers right now, then sure. See, and then top decking, and then you get weird things like this. So where I'm talking about like flood the deck with high-end characters. Now it's just like, when are we gonna draw one of our bigger characters? Yeah, we can get rid of the Bonnie, because what we want now is our 10 and 9 drops, and Bonnie can't pluck those. So that's not a bad move, since it does stop us from having as much active Dawn, but we only need 1. And of course, if they want to counterattack our big bodies by pushing the blocker into life, it gives them that opportunity. Oh, oh, we're gonna push them for lethal. That's interesting. I ain't gonna lie, because the board state is scary. And we got one more attack. How much counter power? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So they got to 14. Wow. But that's that. Luckily, we had another attack. So mathematically, they needed enough counter power to deal with, like, figuratively a 10k swing. So this is another purple Luffy. I'm not sure if it's the same purple Luffy or a different guy. So oh, we're seeing Hody. He's in the deck too. Like I said, because of how Bonnie plays, it seems like, oh, I like that play, that Brûlée to help ramp. Not only you can protect one of your life cards, instead of chucking a card out of your hand, you block and ramp. So it's like a wonderful trade-off. Okay, we're choosing a 1k out of this. That sucks. You gonna check Hody? I feel like Hody's the answer. Man, 9k swing was smart. So I think a carrot play might be the best play. Okay, decisions. Attack. We got 4 Dawn. Activate Dawn. Nice. That is a nice play. And he only has the 1 attack, so it works for us. I mean, attacking Cavendish right now would be best for them, and they swing for 8. Okay, good on your part. Ooh, we got more of the blocker to help us restand our Dawn. So we can definitely freeze Sanji again. Swing it with Smoker would force counter power. Technically, we could play both our blockers. Okay, one poke. Give us a 1 card, 1k counter. I am liking how this Bonnie deck flows, but like, I do hate that we have to kind of have to top deck, you know, the Shanks or the Doflamingo. That's the only bad thing. I would say if there's like more draw power for green, then that might help a lot. So we have our blocker killer to help us draw 1, but you already know it has a condition. You have to have 3 characters on the board. And then there's, technically, you could be my samurai, but I feel like that card works best when there's a lot of low drops in the deck. So that way you could just use that. Oh, okay. I was like, oh, let's see if they have a rush. Nothing we could do about that. Well, we technically could. Just hate this feeling of losing a blocker, right? So this is the game state that sucks. Okay, we let it go. This is the game state that sucks. So we have 4 life cards. We would gladly take a hit to life, but as long as we continue to attack with our board, we give them an attack target. So that's the little conundrum that all this creates. And they countered out. I wonder why. I mean, do you still want to ramp? Because if you're done ramping, you could have just let that go and kept 2 cards in your hand. So sadly, there's nothing to stop it with. Now, if they have rush, is that still 7 Dawn? 2? Yeah, that's still 7 Dawn. That's a smart play. They kept enough Dawn to see if they... And they got it. Boo. It is what it is. We got a Hody. But what does this mean? Because next turn is devastating. Now granted, I'm sure we could trim a lot of fat right now by swinging, 10 into this. And I mean, I think 9-drop Luffy is the one that's, if we're attacking board, 9-drop Luffy is the one that has to stay up. But the other characters, that's going to be a lot of cards out of their hands. So I would imagine we could definitely take 2 off the board. Oh, we're downing up. That was a pump fake. This is scary. Okay, they let that go quick. If you're going to attack, it would be Sanji, in my opinion. I know that's supposed to make your stomach hurt right now. $2K? Yeah, they got it. Okay, so we can stop one attack, which we're going to. And that's it. We don't have the counter power to protect Hope. Well, we got the blocker, but it is better to keep the blocker up for Doflamingo. This is scary. Oh my god. 6. There's... Oh, they could just put it on him and swing. That's right. So there's no point in losing our blocker. Dang, that's low key. That was a setup, man. That was a setup. Count that Dawn. 5, 6, 7. And they have the counter power. Let's freeze that. Put a blocker in play. Okay, so the good thing about this current game state is that they can only attack life. So therefore, we can finally start getting some resources, because this is in the late game. We need some of those cards in our hand. Use that, rest their blocker. It puts them in a bad situation for next turn. They only got 2 cards in their hand. Oh my god. What a lovely turn of events. Yup, get the draw. Oh, look at that Kaido. That's cool that you play it, but you don't eat enough Dawn to make that worth it. Oh, I wonder if that's tech so they can use their Gum Gum Giant. 5. They have to respond to this. They have to respond to everything. Freeze. 10 drop, freeze, freeze, freeze. That's 4 characters. Let's go. You only got one swing, and if you want, you can swing on carrot. Yeah, that was the best possible outcome. Now, if you play rush, you have to attack life, and we're gladly going to take. There it goes. And it's a 9-drop Shanks. Wow, 2 finally, right? Goodness. Yeah, this is why we need like more draw power. It's low-key scary, but that luckily we have one more attack. So they definitely have to burn. Oh, Uji.